What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in with us again. Brent, man, it's crazy how sometimes you'll be sitting in a moment and you think, this is the only time I have this opportunity before, this passes by. Like, I think about that right now. I have a son. Let me see how many months. He's about 14 months, and, we'll be hanging out, and I'll be like, man, we might have more children, but this is the only time that he'll be 14 months. Mm-hmm. Or, you're hanging out, like, think about when you graduate high school or do something like graduating college. You're like, man,
big moments.
I'm not going to do this again probably. Like, hopefully not going to graduate high school twice. But
yeah. I probably should go back.
Maybe. We can talk about that after. But my point being is that you just never know, when you're going to get a moment back. And, like, time is something that we talk about so much. But to me, it's the only concept that we really can't define. Like, we made it, but it's like it's the relativity of it per se. Like, I don't want to get too scientific, but the relativity, like to some people, like today went by in 5 seconds, and other people are somewhere where, they might be starving or going through something, and today took like what felt like 4 weeks.
Yeah, they may have had a loved one die, just something crazy.
Dude, yeah, speaking, like, I know there's 2 people in our community, this is kind of what, like, brought these thoughts on. There's 2 people in our community that were both in their 70s this week that I know personally, and, like, they both just, like, randomly passed away.
Yeah.
And, like, obviously, we never know when our time comes. We talk about that a lot with spirituality and things, but with that being said, too, it's like you have to take into consideration how you're spending your time, because you only get so much of it.
Exactly
you have to take into consideration what you're doing. And, there's so many things that we are partaking in, like with business and family and FCA and church and life, just everything. And so when it comes to your time, I mean, I say you have to be very intentional with it.
Yes.
But do you have any maybe patterns or habits that you've built that kind of talk about how to be intentional with your time?
Yeah. And I think it's something that we all know is going, like, time every year. It seems like it just goes by faster and faster. It's like crazy that we're writing 2024. And It's just like every year when it's like the new year, you're like, holy crap, how did a year already pass? But to answer your question, I've had to go back, and it kind of starts with, I think in the beginning of utilizing your time properly, you have to establish the person, the life, all of that you want. Like, I want to be this person. I want this to be my reality. I want to do these things. And then you have to start prioritizing your time to make that a reality. And I think you can expedite that by the more time you're actually intentional about doing those things. So for us in our business, it's so easy for us to, this is kind of a business platform, but, like, it's hard for me to believe that we've been in business together for 4 years coming up. Like, because to say we've been doing this for 4 years, it seems like it hasn't been that long. But then when you think about day to day, it's like, man, I thought we would have been about to this point by now, or I thought this would have happened by now. And so time is such a weird construct, because you're constantly thinking you've got way more time, but then time just passes by if you're not careful.
Absolutely.
So what do you do with your time? Like, how do you prioritize your time with everything you got going?
Yeah.
You got a lot going with a kid, work, FCA, like you said, all those things require a lot of your time.
Absolutely. And going back to the word, but for me, it's just intentionality. Like, I've started writing down my goals a long time ago, but at this point in my life, mine are so crystal clear that I literally just take like 3 goals and focus on them every quarter. And then at the same time, I have my daily routines and the things that I do. So as far as being intentional with time, like when it comes to our business, I have a certain set schedule that I have for work. And during those work hours, I go to work and I work. I don't spend time doing the thing I'm supposed to do at 5 p.m. at 3 p.m. I don't spend time doing the thing I want to do at 6 a.m. at 7 p.m. Like, I just go and I have intentionality with each moment of time. And some of those things do overlap. Like, you have to have grace on yourself when it comes to planning out this time, because, like, during a work day, you may have planned to do this at 1 p.m. Well, you didn't know a lead was going to call you at 12:59 and you had an opportunity to sell them something, or to get into a good conversation, or start talking about God, or whatever you want to talk about that day. And so you have to have the grace to say, like, okay, I didn't get this done at this time, but essentially I'm still going to intentionally do these things around this time, if that makes sense, 100%. If that's not, too vague. But for me, it's all about being intentional with the time. And so it's kind of like what you said, the prioritization. One thing I notice about a lot of people when it comes to their priorities and like how their life's going, you go ask them, they get caught in the day-to-day. They start feeling like, oh, it's the same, going with the flow. What's that word? Going through the motions.
Yes.
They start to feel like, oh, that's how it's going for them. But what I notice about those people is normally they have no idea what they want. Going back to what you said about getting clear, they have no clarity. And so because you don't have any clarity and you don't know where you want to go, you don't know what volume or activity to do consistently to get where you want to go.
So good.
So without the clarity, you're not going to know what to be consistent at. So for me, it's always going back and taking an inventory and getting real clear on where I want to be, because it changes. Once our son was born, I thought it would look like this, but as life goes on, it looks like this. And so I have to be, we use the word pivot a lot, but I have to be open to change. I have to be not a chameleon per se, but I have to be a person that's okay, that doesn't resist change. I have to be okay with things changing. So I get clear, and then I get, not comfortable, but I get clear, and then I get okay with change, essentially.
Yeah. And you're willing to sacrifice because that's what it comes down to, like your time. Essentially, utilizing your time properly has a lot to do with sacrifice, because there's so many times we could be doing other things that because there's nobody, we don't have a boss over our head saying you got to do this at this time. So that can be good for some people. That can be really detrimental for some people. Like if you're not really on top of your time and you don't have somebody over you holding you accountable, that's where I see a lot of people fail, is because they're not smart with their time. So as becoming an entrepreneur, becoming a business owner, you are now in charge of your time. You are now in charge of what you're going to do day in and day out, and it all revolves around you. So the first point here is being clear on who you want to become and what you want to do. And then you have to realize the sacrifice that it's going to take and the time that it's going to take to get to that goal. And we don't know how long it's going to take. That's the problem. Like I said earlier with our businesses, we were very gung-ho when we originally partnered, and, things took off and we sold a lot of insurance and did a lot of things. But then the plan started getting bigger and other businesses came into play. We started flipping houses and all this stuff. And you look back over 4 years and you realize, like, holy crap, we've done a lot of stuff in the last 4 years. And it's not like we're going to sit here and say we're so proud and we're going to stop. We got a lot more stuff to do, but utilizing our time properly has allowed us to do those things.
Absolutely.
Having accountability partners has allowed us to do those things.
Absolutely. And I have friends that are business owners. Like it's me and Brent, and then we have Rob, our other business partner, and then we have multiple employees in different realms of all this stuff. And we have structures where Brent's doing this and I do this in a day and Rob does this in a day. I know guys that have just them. They're solopreneurs, like just them running their own business, and what they do with their time and how they prioritize it and what they have to do, it looks a lot different. Absolutely. A lot different. And so there isn't a one size fits all deal, but you have to find out where you want to go and then find out what actions it's going to take to get you there. And know that no matter what it is, no matter if you want to build a strip mall and have tenants all in it, it's going to take time. Great things take time. Yes. If you're going to raise a family, and you're going to have 4 kids, and they're all going to be going to college, being awesome, playing sports, whatever. Do you not think it's going to take your time to get those kids to the games, or your effort to help them figure out what school they want to go to, or what interests them, or what's going on? It's going to take time. And those great things at the end of 20 years, when those kids go to that school or those kids do this thing, you're going to feel really good about it because of how you prioritized it. But until then, you're going to think like, man, I'm stuck here. This is taking forever. But knowing that consistent action will get you to that end result is what makes it worth doing.
That's right.
And having that in mind. So
that reminds me of what we always say, and this is kind of a weird thing to say, but we have to be patiently aggressive. We have to be patiently aggressive, and we have to be aggressive with our patience. And that's like weird. What do you mean by that? What I mean by that is, like, day in and day out, you have to go to work hard on the things that are going to make you who you're going to be. But then at the same time, you have to be patient for that end result to come. It is what it is. Like, that's just any business, any athlete, anybody that's doing anything. We're in such a fast now driven society. Like, even fast food, you can literally pull up the Chick-fil-A. There can be 40 cars in the line and you get through in 5 minutes and you're eating your chicken sandwich like that. And if we sit in that line for 25 minutes, we're very upset because our time is like, we want it now. And that's how people live in our society today. They want to do the right thing for 2 weeks and expect to have a 6-pack if they've been going to the gym for 2 weeks. Or they want their business to be, multi-million-dollar business, but they've only been going hard for 6 months. It's like, bro, that isn't how this works. If it was that way, everybody would have a 6-pack. If it was that way, everyone would have a successful business. That's not how it works. So what you have to do is once you figure out, the first step is figuring out who you want to be and where you want to go. Then you have to be aggressive with what you do day to day and patient long term.
Absolutely. And what would you say, like, what are we going to do? When you wake up in the morning, you say, what am I going to do with our time? To me, that's already too late, man. To me, I plan out what I'm going to do the night before.
Absolutely.
I look at my schedule and I say, hey, I sometimes do it on Sundays. Sometimes I plan out the whole week. Not the whole week minute by minute, but I know what I'm doing Monday at 1, at 3, and 5, and Tuesday at this, and this time. Sometimes I have 4 lunch meetings that week. Sometimes I have 0. They're all at night. So, but I have it all scheduled out and planned a week in advance. And so at the end of that week, I don't focus on, man, did I make like the end result I have written down for 3 years from now? I just say, hey, did I do the 5 things I wrote down today? For example, I run the insurance agencies. Right now, my goal is $200,000 insurance premium a month. It's very simple. Some of you guys watching this, you might have $500,000 insurance agencies a month, and we're going to get there too. But right now, my goal is $200,000 a month of insurance premium. So every day I wake up and I think about that goal. I don't have 17 other goals going. I have one goal right now. Every day from 9 to 5, I have one goal. And that's it. And so I just do what I can to accomplish that goal, to put work in towards that goal, and the results will come. The results will be there.
And I know everybody's seen that famous picture of the guy with the pitchfork that's like hitting, and there's like a gold bar and there's a little bit of dirt, and he turns around and he was this close to finding the gold. And that's what he just said is how you eventually get to that point. Is he knows his goal, he goes to work at it every day, and the results will come. That's the thing. It's like my side of the thing is, we're focused on finding houses. So every day it's like, how can I find another house? How can I find another house? And I will say that's the cool thing about having a business partner is that we can divide and conquer together. And we're not focused on the same goals every day. We're diversified in our goals, and we're building something massive together. That's been a huge blessing to have that. But what the point is, it's such a good point that he's making here, is that he puts his head down. When he figured out, this is what my goal is, now he put his head down, and he's going to let time do his thing. But what he's going to do is he's going to be consistent with his time, and that will make the result come sooner rather than later. And that's so important.
Yeah, the results will come, and the people around you, they'll be able to feel it. They'll be able to see it. Everything in your life will start shifting. You attract what you act out. You attract the things you think about. Whenever it comes to your goals, whenever it comes to your personality, whenever it comes to whoever you're trying to become, think about if you want to make money, you don't make money by showing up. You make money by just showing up. You make money by acquiring a skill and then getting good at that skill to where that money starts attracting to you.
That's right.
Think about insurance. Think about sales. I do insurance, so I'm always giving insurance as the example, but think about sales. And when I was 22 years old and I started in sales, and my network was like, it was invisible. It was like there was only my buddies from high school were in it, and I love those guys. Nothing wrong with that, but I'm talking about making wealth in the long run.
Yes.
But you show up, and I didn't immediately just start attracting leads. I didn't immediately, oh, that's a nice guy. He's got, I saw him out with braces in high school. His teeth are nice now. Let me get a quote from him. Yeah,
that's right. It
no,
don't work that way.
I had to gain a skill. I had to get a product knowledge, and I had to find out what the heck I was talking about. And then as I became a better people person, as I gained communication skills, I began to attract customers. I began to attract leads. And in my world, that's attracting income. And so you have to become what you want to attract.
That's right. I love that point. So I think the concept of time is something that we can let so easily slip away from us. So if you're sitting in a position right now where you're wanting to do these things or you have these goals, it's like start being productive with your time today. How do we start being productive instead of reactive? And that's how so many people live their lives, is they're just reacting. Like they wake up and then the phone rings and they're just like, oh, I got to go do this, or I got to go do this. And they're never really methodical about their time. And that's why they seem to never go anywhere. They're just in the same place year after year.
And I tell our guys, if you're going to work at 9 and you didn't wake up at 7, you're already behind. Like 2 hours, you need 2 hours to even brush your teeth, shower, think about being a human. Like to me, if I woke up at 8 and got to work at 8:30, I would be such a loser for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I'd probably be mad. I'd be like, bro, why are you talking to me? I'm so annoyed. I just woke up.
Yes.
I don't know how people do that, but that's just not the way for me. And I don't see success coming to anyone that spends time that way.
Nobody. And what do you do in the morning with your time?
Me personally, I wake up at 5 a.m. and then I read some scripture, and then I usually journal, and then I go to the gym. And then, but
What a good use of your time.
life calls for different things in every season.
That's
like
right.
there's been times where I woke up at 7 and went to the gym, and I stayed up till 12. There's been times where I woke up at 6 and went to the gym. This is over the course of 5 or 6 years, but you have to basically adapt your lifestyle to what you need it to, but also keep these goals at the forefront. And I mentioned the one goal of sales, but I have that in the work world from 9 to 5. I have goals in the spiritual realm, in my family life, in my relationship world, in my finances. I have goals in every department of life that you can look at. And those goals is what keeps me motivated. I look at them every day.
That's right. And you have to be methodical. When you have goals like that, like he just described, you have to be methodical with your time in every one of those buckets. Because like, if Alex is so focused on making our businesses work and he neglects his family, how many times have we seen that story unfold in life? Where dude has a great business, lots of money in the bank, but his wife and kids don't even know him, and they end up getting divorced because they hate each other. They don't even know each other. I know this man isn't going to let that happen because he's methodical with his time, but how many times does that happen in our world? Too many to count.
Yeah.
Too many to count because people are so focused on one bucket. I think that's a great point that Alex is bringing up here, is that you have to be methodical about your time in every area of your life. It's not just one place. So like, what kind of dad do I want to be? Okay, what kind of time do I need to spend with my son if I want to be that dad? I had a great dad. I literally hit the jackpot when it came to dads. But the biggest thing is that he was there. He was present. When I wanted to go hit baseballs in the backyard, do you think he told me he didn't have enough time? Absolutely not. He would put down whatever he was doing to go spend that time with me. He literally went so far as he wasn't going to be able to come to some of my baseball games and baseball practices. So he quit his job and found another job because he prioritized his time with his family that much. So that inspires me, guys. So, because I want to be, we talk about it often. I'm using this term right now because I love 5-star athletes. We study them in football. Like if you're a Georgia fan, you're always like, man, we got like 6 5-stars this year. Now they all transfer the next year, so it don't matter. But anyway, 5 stars, what that means is you're basically guaranteed to go into the league, essentially, is what they're saying. Like, this dude's probably going to be an NFL player. I want to be a 5-star person. I want to be a 5-star human being. So I want my business to be right. I want my relationship with my wife to be right. I want, when I have kids one day, I want to spend so much time with them and enjoy them doing everything. And then, especially in the spiritual world, like, are you serving in your community? Are you doing anything for somebody else outside of your family and your sphere of influence? Are you helping other people? Are you serving? So that's another bucket where I've got to spend my time wisely.
Absolutely. And going back to your dad, how many divorces did he have?
0.
Exactly. That doesn't surprise me based on that story. So when it comes to, so we've already made it clear. Figure out where you want to be, start doing that. But let's talk about implementation, because that's the hardest part. Like, okay, you wrote down you want to make $300,000 a year. Now, how the heck are you going to do it? All right. Implementation, I can tell a story after story, but I just want to share one. So me and Brent sat down last year in November, and we were having a big business conversation. A lot of things were changing. We had switched up some things, this and that. And, you know, we sat down and decided that we were going to start doing these separate roles that we're now doing in our business. And, you know, we sat down that day, and it took me about a week to go through everything and start figuring out what I wanted the insurance agencies to look like, what I wanted the goals to be, how I wanted the day to look, how I wanted things to go. And after I meditated on that, it was time to put the boots to the ground and start taking the actions.
Yes.
And now the whole structure of our business in the insurance agency world has changed. I used to work in one office. Now I go to a different office. We used to not have meetings. Now we have a weekly meeting at this time. We used to not discuss sales. Now we're doing it at this time each week. It's just a way different thing than it used to be, but it all came from implementing. And that implementation, all it took was for me to sit down and say, what do I want? And once you find out what you want, implementation becomes the second nature.
That's exactly.
Or else you're just lying to yourself.
Yep.
And it gets old. You might be in this position. It gets real old telling yourself you want something and not doing anything about it. I don't know if you've ever been there, but it gets real old real quick.
That's exactly right. And I think what's so critical about what he's talking about here is the implementation is the most important part. Because like that goes back to how are you utilizing your time? So many people just sit on the sidelines dreaming their whole life, and they never actually implement anything. So when we switch this up, What's cool about this story that is so fresh in our life is at that time, like I said, we were kind of all doing the same thing going after the same goal, but we weren't like utilizing our time wisely. There's 3 of us, so let's be smart with our time. Now our business has never been in a better position we've got 3 houses actively going. We've got, the insurance agency is doing really well. And I basically chop it up to, we got better with managing our time. We got better with implementing things. And that also takes time because we all know when you try to implement something, it don't just happen the first day. It doesn't just it takes time.
And if we would have known 4 years ago to do this, we would have just done it.
Yeah, exactly.
Very simple. Time. Yeah, like it took the time to learn that.
That's exactly right.
And another thing I want to bring up about time, because we're talking a lot about implementation and everything, and I'm a guy that will just put my head down, and I could literally probably work. If I had no family, I could probably work for 16 hours straight, every day, probably.
Because we love it. We love what we do.
I just don't mind it. It's fun for me. I have these huge goals. I want to accomplish them. But as I get older, one thing that's very important to schedule in your time is rest. And when I say rest, I'm not talking about taking a nap every day for 30 minutes. If that's what works for you, by all means do it. But I just mean once a week, when I have all that work scheduled and everything, I take 1 day a week. It can be Saturday and Sunday, because for me, a business owner, I don't consider, Sunday's my off day to go to church and spend it with my family. But if someone called me to show a house, I'd just go do it. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's not the same as an off day of when I was working 40 hours a week, Monday through Friday. It's just not the same. So now I have to schedule every week, just a day or a half day where I'm just not doing anything.
That's so good.
Every week, or else, that time, not only does it let me reflect, I reflect every day, but during that time I reflect even deeper on the whole week, but also it allows me to just come back and get refocused and remotivated.
That's exactly right.
And it also it prevents the burnout. That was exactly what I was about to say. It prevents the burnout, because burnout is a real thing. I know, we're in business for 4 years now. We talked to hundreds of entrepreneurs. I know probably 20 of them that have already been started and burnt out in the time that we started our business 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So
that's so true.
Schedule rest, guys. Even once a month, or if I'm saying half a day a week, I would say 3 days a month, 4 days a month at least of just chill.
It's so good. And I think this goes to the principle of controlling your time and not letting it control you. And it's how are you controlling your time to become the person that you want to be? So the first point we said, figure out who you want to be. Then you got to start implementing it. So now that you have the goal, so if you don't even have that vision of who you want to be, you're just going through life, just do some quiet time and reflection by yourself with a piece of paper. Lay out the things that you like and the person you want to be and the income that you want to get and the vacations that you want to take. I think all that stuff's great. Then on the next sheet of paper, write down the action that it's going to take to actually make that a reality, and then actually start doing those things. Yeah. And just see what happens. Be patient and aggressive at the same time, and just control what you can control, and you'll end up getting farther than you ever thought. That's what's happened to us. It's crazy to look back in 4 years. And again, we always say we haven't made it, so please don't take this the wrong way. But just to see what has happened in 4 years blows your mind when you really reflect and see what our hard work and the time we've put in has actually brought into reality.
Yeah. And
the relationships that we've made and the friends that we've came across and the businesses that we've created and the lives that we've changed and the people. I take great pride in providing for our employees. I really do.
Absolutely.
To see them grow, to see some of our employees coming back to me and be like, bro, look at my Bitcoin holding. Bro, look at my IRA. Dude, I want to cry. It makes me so happy that these young kids are adapting to the things that we have put so much time in. And dude, what's so cool is that their lives are going to be expedited because of the hard work that we put in and them listening to us. We're going to save them a lot of time getting to their goals. So that's the beautiful thing about this journey is that when you control your time, the sky's the limit, man, on who you can become. And whatever that looks like for you, it's different than our goals and dreams. But whatever that looks like for you, focus on your time, focus on the person you want to be, and get after it. This is a call to action to start today. Don't wait.
No. And I'll say 2 more things. So whenever it comes to writing down your goals, you can write down your goals and get all this mapped out. But like he said, if you don't do action, if you take no action, then writing your goals down really was just like a fun like puzzle for you. Like it was just like going on social media and scrolling for a minute.
Just do a
like,
crossword puzzle.
Yeah, literally. Like, and the thing is that you can write these goals down, and you can, sometimes I look at my goals, I told you I look at them daily, but sometimes I look at them and it's like the next day and I want to add to them, and I don't have any business adding to them like right now. Like nothing's changed, and you know what that means is I need to stop looking at these goals and I need to get to work.
That's right.
And then the other thing you mentioned was relationships, man. The relationships we built, this studio we're sitting in, we were in this studio for 3 years and it was an empty warehouse. And now the relationships we have built, it's look at it. I mean, I don't know, you can't see the whole thing because we're just sitting here with this thing in the background, but it's amazing what relationships can do. I just always want to input how important relationships have been, not only to my personal life, but to my career, my really to everything I have. Like without people, we're nothing. Especially in a service industry. Real estate and insurance, if I didn't have people, wouldn't make any money.
That's exactly right.
Wouldn't have no employees. So those relationships can take you further than anything else. And I just want you guys to take care of these relationships. Harness them, water them, take care of them, and they will pay off.
Man, because that's such a great point that how much time does it take
to build relationships? Time is relationships are time.
That's right. And so many people want that good friend, but they don't want to put in the time to build that friendship.
Yeah.
So that's another point. And I think it's so cool to look back on your time. And I think, to end it, kind of where Alex started it was talking about some of the people we've known have passed away recently. And we do this thing through our church called Joshua's Men. And we kind of, at the start of this journey, we kind of asked the question, like, at your funeral right now, would you have anybody that would carry your casket? And that's like a hard question. And so many men are like, man, I probably really don't. Like maybe my cousin would do it. Maybe my uncle and them could do, like, they don't really have those long lasting relationships. So I challenge you in that, man. Like think about the end of your life and the legacy that you're going to live. I kind of talked about that with some kids at East Paulding yesterday. It's like our legacy we should think about that. We should think about like the actions and the things that we do today. Eventually, me and Alex are going to be old. Eventually, we're going to have gray hair. We're going to have grandkids running around. We're going to have all these things. And eventually, my life is going to come to an end unless the good Lord comes back before then. But there's no doubt that I'm not going to get out of here alive, right? So start thinking about that now in the way that you treat people, the way that you carry yourself in day to day. Like, are people going to be affected when your life ends? And is that legacy going to carry on? And hopefully my goal is my life inspires other people to live a good life. So think about that today, guys, as you're looking and as you're exploring your time and like, what are you doing with your time? Not only think about the things that you can do today to make a change, but think about the consistency of protecting your time and using it wisely, what it'll do to your legacy. Think about that.